The man, the myth, the legend, the one and only, the great Ralph Epperson is joining us. And Ralph is someone I've had many phone calls with. I did an interview with you, Ralph, a number of years back. It's been far too long. And I'm so happy that you decided to come on this platform because we have our listeners here are very up to date on many of these subjects. Myself and my colleague Michael have recommended your work highly for years.
Oh,
And
thank
I
you.
just noticed that your book, so the book that introduced me to all of your work was The Unseen Hand. I think that was one of the major books that sort of launched your career in this,
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. This was back in the early 80s that you published this. And I just felt
85.
85. Okay. Well, I was born in 82. So just
Ah,
to give people an idea about how long this man has been exposing criminality, corruption, the world of politics, getting into the history of America, and talking about the taboo word that is conspiracy, that word that you're not allowed to use anymore.
yeah,
And yet these things are everywhere. And Ralph, so much of your work ends up being rather prophetic. If anybody goes back and reads The Unseen Hand or watches your 27-hour DVD series that you have or reads any of your books, there's so many things in there that you pointed out and tried to warn America and the world about that we see unfolding in the world today. So
yeah.
I wanted to, first of all, just welcome. I'm very honored to have this conversation with you. I'm very much looking forward to it. But maybe just give us a little, what's it been like covering this for how many years, writing these books, doing this incredible work, and then seeing what you wrote in those pages so many years ago actually happening before our eyes today.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Yes, that's true. I started this in 1962, not knowing anything. I was a college graduate. I went to U of A. I used to still wear my U of A hat. And I went to California. I didn't know how to vote in California politics. So I joined the Young Republicans. And the first guy I met was Jim. I'll make it very brief. And he said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "I'm here to learn how to vote on governor and president." He said, "No, you're not. You're here to read." And I said, "I hate to read." And he started me reading, gave me a book to read called None Dare Call It Treason. And that started this whole avalanche.
Mm.
I've read over 1,100 books now on both sides of this issue, ones that I feel are appropriate. Many books are a waste of time, but the ones I look for are legitimate. And I figured it out. There is something going on in the world, and I found out what it is. I found out who's doing it, and I found out why they're doing it. That's what I've done. I've written 4 books. They're all available now, still on the market. The Unseen Hand is now being sold in at least 6 foreign nations. There's probably others that I don't know about because they just could do it. I'm not going to fly to Borneo and go to court to Borneo and get them for selling my book without my permission. So if
Right.
they're selling the book in Borneo, go for it.
So
Try.
let's get into some of the subjects here. And I had a little quote from the introduction to your book, The Unseen Hand, that I think just encapsulates where we're going to go, and it gives a basis here. So I'll just read that for everybody. And let me just pull it up. So this is very interesting. It's well written. Ralph is saying here that wars start when one nation moves into the territory of another. Depressions occur when markets take unexpected downturns. Inflations occur when prices are driven up by shortages. And revolutions start when the people, always spontaneously, rise up to overthrow the existing government. Well, these are the traditional explanations of historical events. Events just happen by accident. There doesn't seem to be any causes. But this explanation of history leaves gnawing questions in the minds of serious students. Is it possible that government leaders and others planned these events and then orchestrated them to their desired conclusions? Is it possible that even the great catastrophes of history were part of this plan? There's an explanation of historical events that answers these questions in the affirmative, and it is called the conspiratorial view of history, and it is the alternative to the accidental view, which is the view that is commonly held today. It is possible, therefore, to summarize the major events of history into 2 alternative schools of thought. One, which is the accidental view of history, which is that historical events occur by accident for no apparent reason. Rulers are powerless to intervene. Or the conspiratorial view of history. Historical events occur by design for the reasons that are not generally made known to the people. So, Ralph, could you expand on that for us?
No, that's exactly. That's, yeah, I've said it. I haven't forgotten that was in there, but that amply describes what this is. There is a conspiracy. I believe now it's over 6,000 years old. I believe I know where the source came from. I know who's in charge of this thing. I know I named the names at the very top of this conspiracy. They're names that we don't know. If I told you right now, you'd say, I don't know, what are you talking about? I've never heard this before. And that's also possible. I'm finding things that people have never found before. And that's fine. I don't know why, but that's what I've been doing. I'm the first guy out of the chute with many of these issues, discussing conspiracies and how they're acting and who are doing these things. But that's what I believe in. I not only believe it's a real, I'm a conspiracy realist, not a conspiracy theorist. So there it is. It's all written out. This is the essence of where Bernie believes he's going to be able to tax us. And once you understand this, you're going to understand what socialism's after. I call it free stuff. Presidential candidates are offering the people of America free college tuition, pay off the student loans, free medical care, free abortions, reparations of payments to the blacks. Well, who's going to pay for these? Why, of course, the very wealthy. No. The wealthy have bought off politicians. Think about that. They buy politicians to keep their assets. It will be the middle class. Okay, hold on. Here's how. Economists divide annual salaries into non-discretionary spending, the bills you have to pay, your mortgage. Don't pay your mortgage, you'll find out how free you are. You're going to lose your house. You're not going to pay for your insurance. You're going to get thrown, if you don't have car insurance or your house, you pay your lights, your heat, car payments, etc. If you don't pay those, you lose. So that's non-discretionary payment. You take your salary minus that, and what is left is called discretionary spending. If you want to go see grandma, you look in your checkbook and see how much money you got left. And if you got money left over, you can go see grandma. If you want to take a vacation, you look into your discretionary spending. That's money that you can spend. I'll make a little example. Say you make 50,000. Make a simple example: 50,000, and your non-discretionary is 30,000. That means you got $20,000 of discretionary spending that you're available to use for whatever you want to. That's the target. What's happening in California? They're taxing the discretionary spending. And the gap was like this. They're doing this. And people are leaving California. Why? They keep working and they get no results. They can't go see grandma anymore because it's going like this.
There's nothing left for them.
Bernie Sanders knows how much we've got because he calls the IRS. You pay your taxes, and what's left over is called discretionary spending. And Bernie totals that up, and that's where he gets the $93 trillion. He's got the figures from the IRS, how much money you got left after you pay all your bills and money left over. And that's what they're taxing. The Russians built the Iron Curtain to keep the producers, the middle class, from fleeing the country. The Chinese built the bamboo curtain to keep the people from fleeing the middle class elite from leaving China. There's no incentive to work when finally they just take everything you've got. Your discretionary spending is what Bernie Sanders is after. And once you understand that, you're going to tell your kids, listen, you ain't got no future because whatever you earn, $50,000, you're going to end up with maybe $1,000 left over to go. There was a little thing on Facebook about some young student that was touring the Scandinavian countries where they're highly taxed, so there's very little money left over. And he went to like a McDonald's and he's talking to the people. He said, well, this is considered a night out on town. That's all the money we got left to go get it. We can't go to an expensive restaurant where you can buy a filet mignon. We have to have hamburgers. That's all the money we got left. In other words, we earn this much and they keep taxing it until this is finally gone or nearly gone. That's what they're after. And once you understand discretionary spending and non-discretionary spending, then socialism makes sense.